In other news now, the Special Investigating Unit is probing 102 law firms, including the sheriffs, which received duplicate payments from the Road Accident Fund to the tune of 340 million rand. Now, so far, the unit has made one referral to the National Prosecuting Authority for investigation and possible criminal conduct. For more now, we're joined virtually from here in Johannesburg by a spokesperson, Kaizer Kganyago. Thank you so much for your time. We do understand it's been a very long 2 days, and you've just gotten off a plane, so we do appreciate your time this evening. Just bring us up to speed, if you will. Obviously, these preliminary investigations were kind of wrapped up, if I remember correctly, about a month ago. It was first reported on. But today was important because those preliminary findings was presented to Parliament's Standing Committee on Public Accounts, SCOPA, as it's known to us. How important was this step in this ongoing piece of work that you're working on?
Thank you very much, and thank you to your viewers. It was a very important step because the RAF itself was appearing before the SCOPA, and we had to go in and then give an update on where we are in terms of the issues that relates to the Road Accident Fund. Therefore, we then presented the progress of how far we are so that the parliamentarians will be in a position to then probe further from Road Accident Fund on what the next steps are and how they are going to deal with these issues going forward.
Can you just take us back to the start of this investigation? How did it come to light that there was something to the tune of 340 million rand in duplicate payments from the Road Accidents Fund? Where did this all start for the SIU?
Yes, there were people who then came and blew the whistle on the workings of the Road Accident Fund. And then we did a proclamation, but the proclamation is very wide. It's not only relating to the issues that are duplicate payments. Then when we went in to look at how these payments are done, and we found that there was money that was paid double for most of these lawyers. What would happen is they would make a claim. When the claim is approved, there is a ruling in the RAF that says they can only be paid after 180 days. Therefore, when they can't wait for that, they then go and subpoena the bank account of RAF and take the money immediately from there. And then after 180 days, therefore, the payment then gets paid to them. Therefore, if they were supposed to be paid 5 million rand, they would have taken it from the bank account, and then the 5 million rand gets into their bank account again after 180 days. Sure. And they just kept it and did not bring it back to RAF, and that is why at the end RAF ended up not having enough money to pay other claims going forward.
So what's at the source of this issue here? Is it just plain old corruption, or is there some good incompetence mixed in there as well, Kaizer?
No, it is both. I think the systems were allowing for that, but at the same time, these people were just fraudulent in what they are doing. That is why we went to all of them, these lawyers, with the evidence, and then those ones who came up and said, no, we will pay. I think that they signed the acknowledgement of debt to the amount of about 68 million rand. So far, we have received 18 million in our bank account, which will then be transferred to the Road Accident Fund. Those that are not coming forward, we will then have to deal with them through the special tribunal to make sure that this money is recovered and taken back to the Road Accident Fund. Because they knew when they kept the money that even if they've paid you double, you should have kept this money in a trust, not use it for your own personal needs.
So that when the SIU comes a knocking, you can say, actually, I've been keeping it safe for you. Here you go. Here's your money back. But now the SIU has said that you've got acknowledgements of debt with these law firms and attorneys to the tune about 68 million rand. That's on paper. Those are the ones that have said this is how we'll give you back the money. But you've made a point of saying that just because they've signed an AOD, as you called it, it doesn't absolve them from any civil litigation. Explain to us what you mean by that and what could happen next for these legal practitioners.
Yes, we are saying that the acknowledgement of debt is just for the purposes of paying back what is not theirs. But if we, as part of our investigation, find that they are liable for other things that they need to pay for, we can still continue to take them to the special tribunal on a civil case basis. But also, when we find that they have got criminality, we will continue to send that to the NPA. And thirdly, we will also report them with the association that they register with, because they need to understand that whatever they did is not right, and they are really using government money that they are not supposed to use.
That's actually what I wanted to follow up on. What kind of legal practitioners are we talking about? Are these a one-man or one-woman show? Are they small fries, or is it a mixture of big law firms and smaller legal practitioners? And you have mentioned those associations that legal practitioners do generally belong to, because we all know that lawyers have also, they make some kind of oath to their commitment to holding up the law of the country and so on and so on. Who are these types of firms and attorneys that you're dealing with here?
It is a mixture. There's big firms, there's small firms that are doing all of this. Therefore, at the end of it all, we'll have to look into all of them to check why they did what they did. If there is fraud, then we take them forward. But it's a mixture of the big and the small companies. And the others are still keeping the money, not saying anything to us, because that money is over 300 million rand.
Yeah, because is there a possibility that the actions could lead to them being disbarred from practicing?
It is possible, because we are going to report them to the association so that they can be dealt with that side, because this is part of what we are supposed to do in terms of our legislation.
With regards to your investigation into the RAF, you have mentioned 5 focus areas. One of them now we've just spoken about, the duplicate claim payments made to attorneys, claimants and sheriffs. And then the other 4 areas, including procurement and tender irregularities and fruitless and wasteful expenditure. And that obviously has come into firm focus in so many of these kinds of investigations that you've been tasked with. What have you found up until now with regards to that wasteful and fruitless expenditure?
Yes, we have been working with the Auditor General. And the Auditor General, when they were auditing them, they realized that there is a lot of fruitless and wasteful expenditure that is there. And therefore, they then cited that in their report. We are taking it from there. We are also taking about 10 companies that were flagged in terms of procurement, that the things were not going okay. We're taking it from that report from the Auditor General, and we are looking into them. And so far, we have looked at the ones that we've looked at, the 4 that we've looked at, the value is about 827 million, if I'm correct, and that we are looking into. Therefore, we want to check whether those processes have been, or the procurement was done properly. If not, we are going to take it to the tribunal to then cancel that contract.
And I'm sure all of this with the Auditor General and all of your work is linked to one of the big stories to come out of that parliamentary scoper sitting today, is the argument around the accounting standard system that they changed to, and the Auditor General, of course, wanting them to change back to the international standards. And that's a story all on its own doing. So there's a lot that's going on, all linked to the work that you and the Auditor General are doing. What happens next?
What will happen next is that there will be continued engagement with SCOPA to make sure that this issue of the standards is dealt with. We are not directly involved with that. It's a matter between them and the Auditor General. But whatever comes out of it, if there's anything that comes out of it that gives an impression that there was corruption, therefore we will then get into it and follow it up.
Okay, we're going to leave it there. Thank you so much for your time, as always. The spokesperson for SIU, Kaizer Kganyago, joining us virtually from here in Johannesburg.